right, everybody, get those Miller Lights ready because it is time for another episode of ATOWN Rundown. We got some things going on in Atlanta we need to talk about. Of course, some things are alleged, other things are for sure. Unfortunately, it seems like if you're an Atlanta sports fan, you're taking steps forward, then you're taking steps back. Of course,
we just can't have 2 good weeks in a row.
Yeah, everybody knows what I'm hinting at, which we will get into that after we, start this off with a more lighthearted thing and talk about the Atlanta Hawks, what they're doing. The All-Star break's coming up. We do have at least one of our players in the Rising Stars representing Atlanta. There's also some injuries going on. There's some things that happened at the trade deadline after we got done recording. No more Porzingis in Atlanta. But as always, I'm going to lead it to our residential Hawks expert, and Jeremy. Let's get some things discussed about our Atlanta Hawks right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. First of all, I mean, I feel like the team is just cannot fucking get to 500, and it's really frustrating. Every time we win a couple games, we lose a couple games. Man. Jalen Johnson out with injury right now. Dyson Daniels out with injury right now. Jonathan Kuminga comes over in a trade. He's going to be out until they're not even going to reevaluate him until after the All-Star break.
Yeah, I just read that.
Which luckily is right around the corner. But we always say on here, reevaluating does not mean they're back. But we'll see how that goes. So yeah, after we and I want to say like this game last night against the Timberwolves, or on Monday night, they wiped the floor with us, and mainly because when Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels are out, all of your perimeter defense is gone. Zachary Riche still kind of like coming back from that injury, not playing the best right now. Mm-hmm. Some flashes still, but not to be relied on to be when you're going against a team like that. And the Timberwolves pretty good this year.
He is who I mentioned. He is who I was talking about in the Rising Stars Challenge for the All-Star.
He is going to be in the Rising Stars Challenge, so I'll probably be checking out some stuff on All-Star Weekend, dunk contest, Rising Stars, skills challenge and stuff like that, but I will not watch the All-Star game because it sucks.
And that's what I was about to say. And not to cut you off when we're talking about the Hawks, but like, I kind of feel like the same way with the Pro Bowl, the way I feel about the All-Star game, because once again, man, when we were kids in this glorious decade called the 90s, the All-Star game was fucking awesome. It was badass. Mm-hmm. The dunk contest was better than it is now. The skills challenge was better than it is now. And the game itself was better than it is now. You watch the game now, and all it is people trying to take the longest three-point shot they can. It's not an actual basketball game anymore. I don't know how sports have evolved into that. And I don't know if it's the more money and contracts that's involved. You're more scared of injuries. I don't know how it transformed into this, but like the Pro Bowl and All-Star game itself is not that enjoyable to watch. And even the fucking slam dunk contest is starting to dwindle down in excitement.
Yeah, I have a theory that it's none other than LeBron James's fault for the All-Star game.
Blame
and
LeBron
I can point back
everything.
to one moment, dude. I can point back to one moment.
I know what you're gonna.
It was him. It was East versus West back then. Of course, now they do like World versus US, or like they've done like Team LeBron versus Team Giannis, and they get to pick players. Just like a playground pick 'em. Mm-hmm. And it used to be, like you said, they'd come at each other. You'd see like Jason Williams like trying to pull off, some crazy shit and like trying to win this game and make it entertaining. Anyways, LeBron versus Kobe. LeBron's bringing the ball up. He brings it up to the half court. Kobe comes up. He wants to defend him. Mm-hmm. And he slaps the ground in front of him, which means like, come on, motherfucker, let's go. See what you can do against me. And LeBron passes the ball out like, nah, he ain't going to play like that in the All-Star game. Yeah. And ever since then, the All-Star game's been nothing, man. And it's like, you get Kobe's like last All-Star game and like, it's fun. They let him score a ton and shit like that. But like ever since that moment, I feel like it's all gone downhill and now it's just completely not worth watching. We talked about the Pro Bowl last week, how it's not worth watching it. And I've seen some clips just comparing the old Pro Bowls to the flag football. And like,
yeah, man.
It'll be like badass music, like when it's the old Pro Bowl, and then they'll switch to like circus music while they're all out there.
You'll go from My
flag
Way
footballs and
you'll go from My Way by Limp Bizkit to like fucking I don't know. But also, let me say this too. I miss when All-Star games across the board, and I mean MLB, NBA, and NFL. I miss when they would
like MLB.
I miss when they would wear their own team's jersey, where they would just wear the visitor or away jersey, but they would represent their team and they would just have the all-star patch on it instead of like representing the league or East West or whatever. Like I miss that. I miss when like they would all wear
MLB still does that, which is cool.
Of the team they play on. Yeah.
Yep. Because you look out there and Freddie Freeman would be at first base wearing white Braves jersey, and then you'd see Mike Trout out there in his red Angels jersey or whatever. Like I always like that too. So anyway, back to what happened to the trade deadline. So I'm going to go down just every trade that the Hawks made this season. It's a lot of them we talked about already, but I'm just going to gloss over them quickly. You got the Trae Young trade, sent him to the Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. We've gone into that. The one that happened once we got off, the kind of the biggest one that happened here at the deadline for the Hawks, Kristaps Porzingis sent to Golden State Warriors for Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. That one I kind of like. Now, Kuminga is a first rounder, very, very promising, very athletic, high talent, kind of like high ceiling guy that seems like the Warriors kind of have given up on. I think he's only got like a year and a team option left on his deal. So you keep that optionality and that flexibility as far as what you do going forward in your salary cap. My only issue is kind of the fit for him is he's kind of a ball stopper and he's not a great shooter. He's extremely athletic and he can do some really badass stuff and can be a very like entertaining player to watch and can go one-on-one with people and do some crazy shit. But when you're playing with Jalen Johnson, we kind of need someone who's going to be able to fit into the mix.
Yeah.
We got to move the ball around. We got to, if Kuminga's holding on to the ball the whole time while he's out there with Jalen Johnson, like how is Jalen Johnson going to help us?
And
we know that he's our best player.
I also want to say, like you were talking earlier about how they just can't get to 500 and they struggle to say that. And I think honestly, the Hawks aren't where anybody expected them to be at the start of the season. There is time.
No, because no one expected the season to go like this.
Yeah,
no one expected Trae Young to be gone already.
There is still kind of a pulse for the playoff hunt, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I honestly think when it comes to injuries, the inconsistent availability for key pieces to be out there because of injuries is kind of forcing more coach rotations to happen. And I feel like that's a big impact in the win column for him.
Yeah, and I could go into Quinn Snyder's rotations too because there's just things. Zachary Richeche will be on the bench at the end of the game while Corey Kispert's out there on a defensive possession, and it makes me pull my hair out. Like some of the shit that he's doing, I don't really understand why. But with Kuminga, I don't know if this was kind of like an attitude thing or whatever, but it seemed like Steve Kerr was just not playing Kuminga anymore.
Right.
It was time for him to go. But I do think that like this is kind of a low risk, high reward kind of thing. Like if Kuminga works out and he's on a team option, you can keep him. If he doesn't, you let him walk, whatever. Or you pick up that team option and you use him like for a trade in the offseason or later on. So and then you got Buddy Hield, who's a reliable shooter, but getting older. I think he's making some money, but he's on a non-guaranteed deal. So if you cut him, you don't really lose anything. So again, keeps that optionality open, which Ansi Soleil, the GM, is kind of always preaching. Then you got the trade to Portland, Vit Krejci for Duop Reith and 2 second-round picks. I think that was more about stacking second-round picks because these are also things that you want to package in, to be in a big trade or in a 3-team trade where you can kind of scoop someone off of someone and a big trade for Giannis or something like that. Giannis did not get traded, by the way. Then one we talked about last week, Jock Landale from the Utah Jazz for cash considerations. Funny story about him, and I kind of said on here, I was like, he's not going to be a game changer for the Hawks. He actually got traded from the Grizzlies. Then he's getting on a plane from Memphis to go to Utah. Mm-hmm. So Grizzlies traded him to Utah. And as he's getting on the plane, he gets a call from his agent that says, get off the damn plane. You're getting traded to Atlanta, actually. So he gets off the plane and he goes, well, fuck. I'm not really going to change my flight or anything. I'm just going to drive my car to Atlanta because I want to play tonight.
Hell
so
yeah.
He drove 5 hours, showed up
Memphis.
at practice. Yeah. And just kind of shot around, didn't really learn any of the plays or anything. And he goes the fuck off for 26 points. His first game that first night and kicked ass.
That's how you do it,
so
baby.
I really like this dude, man. And he scraps. He's a big dude, big white dude, center who can shoot threes. I think he's giving me a nice backup behind Onyeka, especially the fact that all we did was give up cash. And I always say I don't care about billionaires' money when it comes to sports. So giving up cash, any amount of cash, just to get a player like that is nice. So
Yeah.
I really like that one. And then later on, before the trade deadline, like right around the trade deadline, traded Luke Kennard to the LA Lakers for Gabe Vincent and a 2032 second round pick. So again, I think that one's more of Luke Kennard being on a expiring contract. We were hoping we would get a great year out of him and he'd be a nice compliment to Trey. But like now is like, the tides have changed as far as like what the plan was mid-season. I think getting some value out of him now rather than just like letting him walk and then us going to the play-in and him not doing anything. I think that was probably a good thing. Gabe Vincent coming over, I think, is just kind of to fill up some roster. Now he can shoot, and famously he loves to go off against the Hawks. So at the very least, we don't have to face him anymore.
Right.
When he was with the Heat and when he was with the Lakers, he would torch us every fucking time. So we'll probably see some good minutes out of him. But right now it's like him and Buddy Hield being here and being so new. It felt like last night when we needed them, when Dyson was out and Jalen Johnson was out and we needed more depth, they were kind of just out there getting cardio. I'm hoping that'll change, like as they're kind of around the team and at practice more. But right now, yeah, I think the Hawks are sitting at number 9, which is still a play-in spot. I'm starting to feel like they're probably going to be a play-in team.
Yeah.
We got Charlotte coming up again. Charlotte's won like 10 games in a row. So they're coming up on us. And I think they're right behind us. Yeah, they're like number 10. So hopefully we can end that streak for them. The last game got really chippy. They're talking about looking at suspensions on some of the shit that was going on. We were playing them this weekend. But yeah, so that's where the Hawks are. And still waiting on them to make a push and maybe it's going to be an after the All-Star break thing. And hopefully Kuminga coming in, we can get like a little bit of spark. I'm not exactly counting on him to be that catalyst for that, but still plenty of basketball left to be played.
Yeah. And we'll see how it goes. So hopefully we'll see some good things out of the Hawks. Hopefully we'll be more than just a play-in team. But, it could just not be our year. Maybe we're making all the right moves just to rebuild, see how it's going. I will say there's a lot to be hopeful for, especially when it comes to Jalen Johnson. He's really proven who he is this year. And I feel like if you can build a team around him, the sky's the limit, to be completely honest. I think that's the next man up moving forward in the Atlanta Hawks, in my opinion.
That's undeniable.
But now moving forward to a more pressing issue. If you're an Atlanta sports fan, you know exactly what we're about to talk about. Over the weekend, there was something that allegedly took place regarding James Pierce Jr. and Rickea Jackson. So from what my understanding is, and this is all alleged because he hasn't gone to court, hasn't seen his day at court, everything I'm about to say is alleged. But my understanding is that him and Rickea Jackson, whom he was dating, who is a WNBA star, they got into some type of an altercation. I'm hearing reports it was from a breakup or other things. But then I guess the following day, she was going to file a police report against him for something he did. He didn't like the idea of that. So he then pursued her in his car and crashed into her car multiple times to stop her from getting to the police department and filing a report, which is just hearing this report is absurd and wild. I couldn't believe what I was reading when I read this. And once again, this is all alleged, but then the cops arrived to the scene. Apparently he hit one of the police officers with his car, and then it took 7 grown-ass adult police officers to apprehend him and take him to the jail. And then I hear more reports about him. I hear that, the Falcons were hesitant on drafting him because of his character being in question of things that have happened in the past. And all this is news to me. I didn't know very much about James Pierce Jr. All I knew about James Pierce Jr. was he had 10.5 sacks last year, and he seemed like our greatest defensive player. But now it seems like our greatest defensive player might not play for the Falcons ever again, might not play football ever again, especially if everything that is alleged he's found guilty of in court. But Jeremy and I were talking about this earlier. He knows a lot more about the situation than I do, so he can tell you what he's heard. I've just told you what I've heard. And once again, this is all alleged.
Yes. So, yes, this is all alleged, but this is the story that's out there. So this is not us reporting. This is me reading report. So here's a little bit of the timeline. So Rakia Jackson tells police that she broke up with Pierce, ending a 3-year relationship. Rakia blocked James's number, so he couldn't reach her. Instead, he used another phone to text her. So that's already like
that's
kind of weird stalker behavior, and that's not good. Okay. This Friday, she texted him to leave her alone and that she wanted nothing to do with him. Saturday morning, while she's driving, she noticed that he was following her in his Lamborghini. Okay. He allegedly got out of his car, tried to open her door. Rakia accelerated away and drove toward the police department. He got into his car, followed her, and then tried to rear end her car near the police station. There's a little more detail on this stuff here. Let me see here. Pull all this up. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. It's a good time to get a Miller Lite in your hand.
Okay.
For what we're about to unpack.
So she accelerates away, drives to the police department. He gets into his car, follows her, tries to rear end her near the police station. When she tries to back out, he collides head on with her car. And the police arrive and ordered Pierce to the ground with a gun drawn. Okay. So, and then he allegedly crashes into his girlfriend's car to stop her from going to the police, and then hits a police officer with his car. Now I'm going to pull up the charges against him. And this is where it gets scary for James.
Now, if I'm correct, he's facing 5 felony charges.
He's charged with 5 felonies.
Jesus Christ.
So, first one, first-degree felony, aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer. Okay, mandatory minimum 5 years in prison. Maximum prison time, mandatory minimum if he's guilty.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so maximum prison time 30 years. Now, I think what he did wouldn't get him 30 years, but if mandatory minimum's 5 years. So if he's guilty
right
of
there,
that,
you're looking at least 5.
Yep, if he's guilty. So then 2 counts of this. Second degree aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. And the deadly weapon, again, just to clarify,
in the car.
Yeah. So mandatory minimum around 21 months. Okay. So think almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Maximum per count, by the way. Both these are per count.
Yeah. So that's a total of almost 4 years.
Yep. 15 years maximum. All right. Yeah. So I don't think he'd get that, but we're talking just the minimums here. So then you've got aggravated stalking in the 3rd degree, maximum prison time, 5 years. There is no mandatory minimum for that, but it's also just does not look good. Still could see some jail time, but no mandatory minimum.
So right now, before you even complete, he's looking at a potential 9 years if it's all minimum.
Yes, potentially. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So hold on, and we still got more.
Yeah.
Fleeing or eluding high-speed reckless 2nd degree, mandatory minimum 3 years.
Okay. So 12.
Okay. And then resisting an officer with violence, 3rd degree, no mandatory minimum, maximum 5 years. So yes, if he is guilty of all 5 of these counts, you're looking at least 12 years in prison.
Jesus fucking Christ. And the thing is, like, you know, it's a shitty time to be his agent. He probably doesn't have one anymore. But now all that rookie contract you just got, you're about to spend on a really good defense team, because it's going to be hard for you to get out of this. Once again, it's all alleged, but this is going to be a hard.
It's not looking good.
This is going to be a hard court case for you. And I've seen a lot of people want to debate this. Oh, he's an NFL player. This, that, you know, all this other shit. But it's like, okay, yes, he's an NFL player, but he's a rookie. He's not an established NFL player, even though if you think like 10.5 sacks in 1 year, that's incredible by any means. That's established in my book, but he's not Tyreek Hill. He's not Kareem Hunt. He's not Stephon Diggs, who Stephon Diggs just got to his arraignment. We don't know if Stephon Diggs is going to go to jail or not. He's not Ray Lewis. Like he's not one of these.
Not Michael Vick.
He's not Michael Vick, who even Michael Vick didn't avoid prison time, you know, but he's not one of these.
No, but he did get a second chance.
Yes. So he's not one of these all-star elite caliber players who has their name out there, who's tenured, who's been on the field for years and years and years. He's still a rookie. So I honestly, especially if he's guilty, I don't see him getting another chance. And even if he's not guilty, can you imagine the shitstorm that this would start if he's found not guilty and you see him walking on the field for not just the Falcons, but anybody, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you remember when Michael Vick came back, there were some people that were saying, hey, he did his time, he took his punishment. And some people saying, like, I don't want to root for the Eagles because they got him. So there's a lot of implications for this. And knowing Arthur Blank, when the Michael Vick thing happened, he immediately cut him. He didn't care about when he gets out of prison. And I have a feeling, and this is also Matt Ryan's first big thing that's happened to his team. So we're all kind of looking to him on how he's going to react to this. Now, I think you got to let this play out, like with the law. I don't think it looks good, especially like this being this public. Because it's two famous athletes. That I don't know. So I think I'm sure the Falcons are going to meet with his lawyer and everything and see what's going on. But dude, there's video evidence of him getting arrested and being in front of his car and fighting with the 7 police officers and stuff like that. And let's not forget, like Rakia Jackson is a beloved person in sports.
Absolutely.
You know, not that she's like the most famous person in the sport, but like people love her and you know, no reason to think that someone like her should deserve this kind of shit. So, you know, if you're going to say, hey, I still want to hire that guy knowing what he did to her, and who knows what happens behind the scenes. And I'm not going to get too far into that because that's all alleged and not our business, but this is public shit. This is all public knowledge, and knowing what we know, like, it doesn't look good. I really enjoyed this rookie season from James Pierce. He was a nice surprise.
I did too. He almost made me feel okay about trading away our first round pick to the Rams, you know?
He did make me feel like that was okay, but there were concerns with him coming in the draft. And I remember when we were going into the draft and the mock drafts and stuff, and he probably should have been the first pass rusher to come off the board. He wasn't. He dropped down, and it was because of his character issues. Now, apparently there was things with him at Tennessee, like during like his NIL negotiations, where he kind of showed his anger issues. And that was the big thing, was anger issues. And there's some reporters that when this came out on Saturday that were saying they were getting texts from people around the league and people that work in front offices that were saying, told you so, told you, this is why he didn't get drafted. This is why we didn't take him, you know? And sure enough, it only took a year to really show its head. And it sucks because, you know, he's such a young guy and clearly like he needs some kind of help or direction here. It may be too late at this point, you know, and I hope he can figure it out at some point in his life. It may not be like with the NFL, but you know, like this, it's kind of a sad situation to see this happen to anybody. It is. You know, and people knew about it. He's been showing it for a long time, apparently, because that was the rumor about him. So hopefully things can work out for him. I mean, maybe all this isn't true, but I don't know. This is pretty damning shit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how would you feel like going to the Falcons game and getting up and cheering on this guy next year if he like scoots away through all this stuff? Again, if he's completely innocent, sure. Like I'm always like, hey, you know, I whenever someone's like, well, doesn't he have these kinds of allegations? It's like, well, people make up shit all the time. So like I go by convictions, not allegations. But like, say this dude does get convicted and he does like 6 months in prison and he's back in 2027 playing for the Falcons. Are you going to get up out of your seat and cheer for him like when he gets a sack? Like it'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, I know. And
you know, like I'm not sure how good I'd feel about that.
There's things like I completely believe in reform and change and therapy. I 1000% do. And there's something weird about the sport fan aspect of it, where sports fans are so willing and so forgiving. Like you talk about guys like Ray Rice and shit like that, who we saw video of what he did, you know. For some reason, sports fans are, and it's very shitty, especially when it comes from, you know, an ethical standpoint, that sports fans of all people historically are willing to turn the other way if it means their team can win. But
how many players have like
older,
almost killed someone drinking and driving at Georgia, and then like they get a little slap on the wrist, and you know, then they're in the NFL.
You remember
it's happened a lot.
Who was it that played for the Braves? I remember back in the 90s, it was a big thing. Wasn't it Rafael Furcal got a DUI and the next day he got cut from the Braves? Like, I feel like there's something weird about sports, our Atlanta sports teams, where like they're willing to make a statement about their players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's maybe not necessarily a bad thing. Like, of course, you know, you're winning your record at the end of the year, it might suffer, but it's like some things it's like, all right, I can't have that in my locker room.
Yeah.
I can't be spending $1 billion on this stadium and this team, you know, and hire a guy like that. Like, what does that make my organization look like? But I think another thing I wanted to say about like just the kind of the sad part on James Pierce's story is like, being a young man like that with issues like that, like, if this is a 35-year-old man, you'd be like, man, you should have figured this shit out a long time ago. But it's like, dude, this is when you realize, unfortunately, this is kind of too late, but like a split decision like that of thinking that that's the thing that you want to do, like and it affects the rest of your life. And this will probably affect the rest of his life. And there's nothing you can do about it now, except, yeah, right. I mean,
Like,
and it's something that you should have figured out a long time ago.
Yeah, because
but you're talking about a 22-year-old kid, which like I was a dumbass then too.
And when you think about it, like
that.
I've never done anything like that, but I understand the situation when you just snap and there's nothing talking you off the ledge. Where like at this point you're like nothing is rational, nothing is stopping. Like you think about like we've all been there as teenagers and young adults. Think about the toxic relationships you've been in when you get in that one argument where neither one of you can stop screaming and yelling at each other and nothing's calming you down. Like sometimes you just snap. And I'm not. And
their relationship very well could have been like that.
Yeah, and I'm not.
I think that's very believable.
And I'm not giving him a pass
not warrant that,
or anything like that.
Does not warrant that kind of behavior.
I'm not giving him a pass, but I'm saying like I've been in there. I've been in toxic relationships where we just have a screaming match and neither one of us can stop, and you just snap and you're off the edge. I've never been in a physical.
A lot of guys like that.
I've never been in a physical bout with any of my relationships. But it's just like I understand that. I understand when you get that angry, when you just snap and there is no talking you back off the ledge until the police get involved. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened here. And thank God the police did get there because once again, allegedly, but like what would have happened if the cops didn't show up there, because he was snapped.
Yeah, he's trying to get her. He's trying to get her out of her car.
Yeah. Like he was gone. Like at that point he was gone. Like he was there, but there was nobody there. Like he was gone. It was a complete rage out what was going on, and you got to think like if people have seen that kind of characteristic in him pre-draft, like, why did nobody ever stop him and be like, hey, before you get to the next level, you need anger management. You have to nip this in the bud now. Like where was his team being like, hey, dude, like you need to go get help. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to push this on anybody else. Of course, you're a grown man.
No.
You seek out your own help. But like you got to think the signs have been there for something like this to happen,
Yeah, no, you're right. And going forward, I think everyone in the NFL, like seeing stories like this, and dude, it could have been worse. Like imagine a story of a young player like that having these issues, and then he ends up, and this may have happened in the NFL before, but like ends up murdering somebody just in a rage. Like I said, like what happens if she didn't lock her car door and he rips her out of there? Like what was going to happen? Mm-hmm. Like what were you going to do? Shake her till she takes you back?
Well, what was that dude that played for the Raiders? Incognito. His last name was Incognito. Richie Incognito. Yeah. He snapped and he like pulled a gun on people and shit. Like like
he is a notorious asshole.
Yeah, but how do you know that James Pierce isn't a notorious asshole? He's kind of looking like one right now.
It sounds like he is. Yeah, it sounds like he is. Yeah, Richie Incognito though he played in the NFL for a long time though. I don't think he ever had like a really big. Yeah. Case like this, but yeah, reading those charges and the punishment for those charges, the mandatory minimums, like that's scary as hell for him.
Yeah,
you go from being an NFL star. I mean, he was a star here in Atlanta this past year.
Yep.
And then going to prison. It's not looking good. So we'll see. We'll keep up with this story like through the off season and when he has a court date and stuff like that. Right now, he's maintaining his innocence. I should say that. Like his lawyer is saying that like there's more to this story and that. He's maintaining his innocence.
But let me ask
Doesn't
you
look
this,
good,
Jeremy.
But let's see how the things play out.
Because if he, okay, once again, this is all alleged, but I'm saying if you did not ram your car into someone else's car, the cops would arrive on the scene and be like, hey, none of these cars are damaged. This lady's lying. Like, how do you claim your innocence on this one is what I'm getting at. Like, there has to be damning evidence. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
At the very least. And who knows, man? Like, what if she has a change of heart and she says, you know what? Like, she says all the things that you said. Like, he went blind rage and he wasn't there. And I'm not going to press charges now.
At this point, it doesn't matter what charges she pressed. The state is going to press charges. And then it's going to be out of her hands.
Certainly the one about, well, like, like the stalking thing. Like, I think that's probably one that she could drop if she wanted to. And I'm not saying that she should by any means. I think that's all in her hands, but like, but him, attempted assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer, 2 counts or whatever it was. Like, that ain't going away.
No, nope. No.
Those do have mandatory minimums.
Yep.
So what we say, almost 4 years, 21
and
months each.
I do think with money on his side, he might be able to get, early parole. He might only serve a couple of months and then be on parole. But long story short, if you want my opinion, I think his NFL career is done, personally.
Yeah, it looks to be that way, man. I'd have to agree with you. And it sucks because he was a great player, but you can't be doing that shit, man.
Yep.
Can't be doing that shit. That's unacceptable behavior, and fucking, you literally have a woman fearing for her life, and rightfully so. So there's going to be some punishment for that, I think. All alleged. Let's see what his lawyer can do. He maintains his innocence, but and I'm not sure that Arthur Blank's going to play that shit.
No, I don't
he'll
think
at least be cut from the Falcons.
Yeah. He might go play for the Steelers or the Eagles, but
Yeah. Organizations with no morals at all. They're out there.
And don't come at me about Michael Vick. I believe Michael Vick was fully reformed. I believe Michael Vick was an incredible athlete. I would have loved to see him back in Atlanta, but you got to understand, like, he did what they said he did. And yes, he served his time. Mm-hmm. Yes, I believe he is fully reformed, but how do you come back from that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and what does this mean for the Falcons? Let's flip this over to football a little bit. Is you're going to have to replace that pass rush, yep. Because that was the big difference in the defense this year was having the pass rush, and he had 10.5 sacks as a rookie, and that's a big deal. He had big production. So Jalen Walker's got to step up. Maybe Leonard Floyd comes back, but you're going to have to look for some kind of these veteran minimums or guys that are out there to see if they've got any, kick the tires on some of these.
Do you think Leonard Floyd wants to play this again? Do you think Leonard
I have no idea.
That's what I'm saying. Leonard Floyd's old.
But you're going to need guys like that.
Yeah.
To replace that without spending a ton of money. Now, I think the Falcons, still salary to cut out there. I think you can cut Darnell Mooney.
Oh, speaking of cut, what is the news on Kirk Cousins? Is Kirk Cousins officially cut from the Atlanta Falcons?
No. I don't think that's going to happen until after like March 10th or something.
Okay.
That's the date to do it. Yeah. But fully expect that to happen. So you get that off the books. I think like someone like Charlie Warner, you can get rid of. That kind of gives you money to, if you want to keep Kyle Pitts and just keep a tight end on the roster. I've been saying tag him and trade him. I think that'd be the most lucrative thing for the Falcons to do.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a little bit of money there. I don't see them spending big money on a quarterback because they think that Penix is going to play early in the season. And I think that they should just continue to experiment a little bit more. If he can't stay healthy next season, you got to start looking elsewhere.
No, I think
like the plan going into next season is going to be
next
Penix.
Season. Penix has to show me that he belongs next season under all new guidance, all new head coaching. It's you're basically got a brand new team, a brand new front office pretty much. And if he can't get it with this, then he's just not meant for this program. And we need to move on from him before it gets too fucking late,
Yeah, and then on the defensive side, I also want to say, it's a big blow to lose James Pierce if that's what happens, and I think we both agree that's what's going to happen. But there's a lot of young defensive guys that are extremely talented on this team, and that trade where said it made me feel good about trading that first round pick. Yeah, that was good, but you still got Xavier Watts out of that trade.
It was good until right now.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it's not fruitless. Xavier Watts is still probably should have gone in the first round. Yeah, the way that he played this year. So I'm expecting to see more of that out of him. Billy Bowman coming back next year should really help this defense. Brandon Dorless coming back. A lot of young guys that aren't getting paid, a whole lot of money. So you can still go and spend some money on a pass rusher out there. I don't know who's available because obviously I haven't even been thinking about pass rush since until Sunday morning when I saw all this shit.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be okay. It is a big blow, and we'll keep an eye on what happens. But yeah, that's we'll see. We'll see what Matt Ryan and Arthur Blank decide to do with this.
In all honesty, with the way this show trends, we're probably gonna find out something tomorrow morning, and by the time this airs, you guys will know something.
Yeah, right. But we'll see. Yeah, that seems to always happen. As soon as we got done recording last week, and I mean we always chat for a little bit, 15, 20, 30 minutes after the show. And as soon as we get off, I see the notification about Porzingis being traded, and I immediately
you
text
texted
Joey,
me
and I'm like, God damn it.
We were like 20 minutes out of recording, and you texted me like, "Hey, dude, Porzingis just got traded." I was like, "Motherfucker!"
I feel like it was like right as I got upstairs, and I'm telling my wife like, "Yeah, it was a good show," and then I'm like, fuck, we just missed breaking news."
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Speaking of shows, the Super Bowl has come and gone. The Seattle Seahawks are the Super Bowl 60 champions, just like we fucking told you they would be. Now, in the fashion that they won, I did not see happen, or did not see coming. I did not see it being 9-0 going into halftime with nothing but field goals. Speaking of halftime, Bad Bunny fucking tore it up. Did I understand a word Bad Bunny said? No. But did I get the message? Absolutely. I thought he fucking killed it, and I loved it. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. That's your opinion, but it's okay to be wrong.
It was fine.
Bad Bunny did amazing.
I thought it was fine.
It was awesome.
Yeah, Bad Bunny, not my favorite, and I'd never listened to him before, but as big of a deal as everyone was making about it and trying to make it all political and like, oh, this side wants to do this, and well, now Kid Rock's going to do a counter show and all that stuff. It's like I watched the whole Bad Bunny halftime show, and I haven't, I realized a long time ago that halftime shows aren't for me, and it's really for like getting more people that don't typically watch the game, like to be entertained. And I think he achieved that.
See, that's the thing. You were supposed to be entertained, and I was wildly entertained. I
thought it was
I saw this one dude who had fucking 500 of the most beautiful women in the world out there twerking their ass off, and I loved it.
There was a bunch of them.
Jessica Alba was there with him. Fucking Pedro Pascal. Fucking Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Braves was in that bitch. Cardi B was in that bitch. Like, dude, it was fucking awesome, dude. It was it was a glorious experience. I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I wish my Spanish was better and I could have known what he was saying. But honestly, that doesn't matter to me because, and people who say that, it's like, yeah, did you say that when Kendrick Lamar was up there and he's rapping like 1,000 miles a minute and you don't know what he's saying? Yeah. Did you complain then? Did you care?
Also, dude, one of my favorite bands in this entire world is Cannibal Corpse. And half the time, I don't know what the fuck he's saying, but I get the message.
It doesn't matter to me. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter to me, especially the kind of music that you and I
don't speak a lick of Spanish, but I can move my hips when that fucking beat drops.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was fine. I do think it's interesting, and I saw this point get brought up. The Kid Rock alternate halftime show, and obviously not going to be as big as like what's happening on NBC, like the Super Bowl, but like they did get like 5 million viewers. And what does that mean for like Super Bowl commercial people? They'll be like, ooh, I don't have to spend 20 million on a Super Bowl commercial. Like, I will spend a little less and it'll still get seen by 5 million people on these alternate streaming. And I'm not saying just that one, but there could be multiple like alternate Super Bowl halftime shows that pop up. Like, what if some like underground metal bands say like, hey, we're going to do a streaming thing. Y'all switch over during the halftime and we're going to put on the biggest, baddest show that we can put on. Do you know who did
it first?
Who's that?
In 1998, when our Atlanta Falcons took on the Denver Broncos, you could change the channel to the USA Network and you could watch The Rock versus Mankind in a halftime heat, no holds barred match.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah,
where The Rock beat Mankind beat The Rock by pinning him with a pallet on a forklift.
Fuck yeah, dude! Mankind was that dude, man.
He was that dude. He was
crazy as hell. Yeah, he was definitely. I sometimes forget about him, but during the Attitude Era, like he was one of my favorite.
But guys. that was the best Super Bowl of my life because the Falcons finally made it. We were beating the Denver Broncos, and we go into halftime. Mm-hmm. I get to see a badass historical wrestling match, and then the Falcons lost. Yes, but still.
Yes.
But the thing is, like, I feel like it's kind of unfair because we had our first loss against John Elway, then our second loss against Tom Brady. So if you're going to lose against any two quarterbacks,
why can't we play against Drake May?
Yeah. Why couldn't we play against Drake May?
We may one day.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to lose the Super Bowl, at least you lost it to John Elway and Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah. Two Hall of Fame legends, for sure. And guys with multiple Super Bowls. We weren't the only guys they beat, but, Let's talk about the game a little bit. I was kind of saying all year long, Seattle starts slow.
Yes.
So them only scoring field goals in the first half.
Sunday.
Yeah. That was going to happen. And so as it was happening, everyone's like, "This is such a boring Super Bowl." I'm like, "This is almost exactly the way I thought it was going to play out."
Honestly, dude, I thought
the Patriots would be able to get a little bit more. Me either.
No, dude, I love
Good
defense. And that first half, I was like, man, this is fucking awesome. My wife was bored. My friends were texting me about how bored they were. I was like, no, you don't watch football. Like, this game is
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, no, it was still a good game, and but I did say about Drake May and the competition he had to play this year and the playoff run. He did play good defenses, but he never had to go against good offenses. And again, like Denver's offense would have been better with Bo Nix, but that's not who he played.
Mm-hmm.
So I did expect that he was going to struggle, and that's why they were going to lose. But also their offensive line was just not able to keep up with Seattle's defense. Seattle's defense, I feel like, didn't get enough praise this year because the offense was so good. But like, remember those games against like the 49ers where they held them, to under 15 points. And not just when they were injured, but like during the regular season, like we kept saying like, oh, this is going to be a shootout. And it wasn't. It was a big defensive game. So they proved that they could win those big defensive games. And the Patriots defense was very good this year. And throughout the playoffs, again, the offenses they played weren't very good. But what the Patriots were doing in that whole first half is they were kind of like using their secondary to attack the quarterback in the way of like safety blitz and corner blitz. And they were doing that a lot. And I was kind of saying, I was telling my wife, I was like, if they keep doing that, they're going to end up with a bomb from Sam Darnold because they're going to start to notice as soon as that safety starts creeping in, it's like, now it's time to look for it. And if I have enough time, if my offensive line can just hold just long enough, I'm going to have a man one-on-one out there, and he might be past him already. And sure enough, that started to happen. But also Kenneth Walker being able to consistently keep the ball in Seattle's hands to where anytime Drake May got out there, it was like he'd go 3 and out, and it was even worse because Seattle wasn't really going 3 and out. Even if they weren't scoring touchdowns, they were sustaining drives, and they were bringing home points. Until finally they got to break it open. And then Drake May starts throwing interceptions, trying to get back in this game.
But also I want to say when it comes to Kenneth Walker Jr., something that was blowing my mind about the Patriots is like, it's something you're supposed to learn from your mistakes. You're supposed to catch on very quick. And when you have a running back that is of that caliber and can run all over you like that, you need to stop selling out the blitz. And because when they can read blitz and you're just selling out the blitz, the running back is going to catch on to that. The OC is going to catch on to that, and they're going to go around that. And guess what happened? Y'all kept selling out the blitz, and they kept knowing, okay, well, we just need to run the ball because they're blitzing from this way. The safeties are blitzing. They're coming this way. We're just going to run around it. And that's what they did. Like, you should have learned very quickly or very early on that, like, hey, if we keep just selling out the blitz, because dude, there were drives where it was nothing but 4 blitzes in a row and shit. And it's like, if you keep selling out the blitz, you're giving the opportunity for the running back to fucking capitalize on that and get around. Because if he gets around the blitz, if he gets around your linebackers in your line, or God forbid your safeties, then he's in the wide open backfield, He's
getting chunks, man. He's getting big chunks. And that kept happening. So, and you're absolutely right. That's kind of what killed the Patriots. And it kind of happened in the first half because they ate up so much time. And they came away with points. So many, they have 4 field goals in the first half.
They ended up with
when
9,
the Patriots had nothing.
9-0, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you had 3, but like they're coming away with points, and then you guys are going 3 and out, and it's like the game's disappearing. And now, like Seattle gets 2 good drives with a touchdown. This motherfucker's over because now the Patriots are in a position where they have to throw the ball. And that's when you start seeing those interceptions happen. So this game was kind of over at halftime to me, as far as like it was going to take some serious heroics.
Yeah.
And their offensive line just wasn't showing they're going to be able to do that.
Once they got back from halftime, literally all Seattle had to do was score 1 touchdown, and they stayed in the driver's seat. That's all they had to do at that point,
Right. Yeah. No, I think that their plan coming in was great, and the way that they did notice, like how they were selling out with that blitz. And like I said, and using their secondary to do it, and it seemed like it was effective. But you do it too much, like all of a sudden they realize that your safety's not going to be down there by the time this ball gets in the air.
And also, you got to realize the positions that you're blitzing with too, because you're not doing a sneak blitz. You're not doing a mid blitz. You're not doing linebacker blitzes. you're moving your safeties. And when your
You're
safeties
pulling out
move,
of your secondary.
when your safeties move out of position and then your corners move to the center, that's a very key. Like, I'm calling an audible right now. I'm like, hey,
Yep.
fucking run a stretch, run a fucking, inside
Yep.
zone right now, because the safeties are in the middle of the field. All you need to do is run left. You know what I'm saying? Because
exactly. Hit them on a post.
Because as a quarterback, when you see these big ass safeties move, it's not inconspicuous. You're like, oh, well, the safeties are in the middle of the field now,
Especially when they were doing it so much. Yeah, it's like, okay, like you can see them creeping in.
Not
it's
just
like,
that.
oh, they're doing it again.
There was one safety blitz that worked. I mean, they sacked the fuck out of Sam Darnold. But there was one safety blitz where I'm like, holy shit. They came all the way in and were standing next to the linebackers and then just fucking engulfed him,
Yeah, and that's going to work every now and then. It definitely but you have to mix it up. You can't do that all the time. Because then all of a sudden, like, you have a very weak secondary out there and they're undermanned. And if somebody gets through, all it takes is for Sam Darnold to just get that ball out to where his receiver's already made separation and there's no one to catch him.
Right.
Once he's beaten that first man, he's gone. So,
which is what he did. And Kenneth Walker, first running back Super Bowl MVP in 23 or 28 years, one of those two, but damn near 30 years since we've had a running back be the MVP of the Super Bowl. And he fucking earned it, dude. He was phenomenal. He was really good. And on top of that, what people don't realize, he is not the starting running back for Seattle. He was their RB2. He came in because their RB1 got injured. And what a better time to make a name for yourself than the fucking Super Bowl, pretty much making it to where your team wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's gonna make some money, man. He's gonna make some money whenever his contract's up and he goes on to another team. Like, he's gonna get a nice check. And then Clint Kubiak immediately signing with the Raiders.
Yep. Oh my god.
Yep. The only team that's left, But
the thing is, it can go one of two ways. Either it's career suicide, or you come out within the next 3 years and you show these motherfuckers who you are.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, like, he's betting on himself, like, going, it's probably the highest value that he's had. Because let's say next year, Seattle, their offense doesn't look as good and they're dealing with injuries. And then all of a sudden he doesn't have, like, he's not the top coaching prospect and some other, like, hot young OC comes out and it's like he ends up, going with a team that he doesn't love, like say the Browns are flipping coaches again or something like that. So the Raiders, not a great organization right now. And, but they do have the number 1 pick. So, I think he knows and has probably already talked to them about who they're talking about drafting. It's probably going to be Mendoza if I had to guess. So, good luck to him.
I will say, luckily
you and I
for him,
both
he's
said we
going
wanted him,
to
but
a very loyal fan base of all things. So that's good.
A very loyal fan base that seems to switch cities every 5 fucking years.
It's not the fans' fault.
I know, but it's just funny to me. Like, I always hear that, like, Raider Nation. I'm like, they say Raider Nation because like the team moves all over the fucking nation.
Yeah. Also, speaking of the Super Bowl, I don't know if you saw all the drama going on with Stephon Diggs. Fucking Cardi B.
Yeah.
Cardi B came to the Super Bowl to support Stephon Diggs. And then lo and behold, Stephon Diggs had his other baby mama there sitting front row with the baby wearing his jersey. She was wearing his jersey. And then she fucking paid $1.2 million for an after party, but then decided she wasn't going to go because she was pissed about that situation. And then he doesn't go because he lost. So all on the same day, you fucking
baby mama drama.
You lose Cardi B because she didn't know you were bringing this other girl, and you lose the Super Bowl. Your baby mama blew $1.2 million on your bitch ass. And on top of that, I think your arraignment's coming up this fucking week. So, like, what a bad week for Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. He put all his chips in and lost.
Yeah. Somebody who I used to really root for and really cheer for, Stephon Diggs, but lately is too much of his bad.
I've learned too much about his life. Yeah. And like now I don't really care for him, you know? Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I just don't.
Had a bunch of kids this year though, so congrats.
She even called him out. She even tweeted that he has more kids than catches in the Super Bowl.
Yep. And we made a similar comment about that in like week 6.
Yeah.
Week 7, something like that.
But
yeah.
We'll keep it short and sweet this week. You know, the Braves are making some moves. I can't wait for the boys of summer to come out. We got Jonah Heim today, which I'm very excited about. He's a great catcher.
Needed that.
We did need that.
Because Sean Murphy's going to be out for a while with that hip injury. So
exactly.
You got someone behind Drake Baldwin, and you know, now Drake Baldwin's day off, you can play him as your DH. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm excited for the Braves. I'm going to try to go to as many games as I can. The only thing is, like, now where I literally live like 2 hours and 15 minutes away from Truist Park. So it's one of those things, like, if I go to a game, it's got to...
You're crashing at my house.
Yeah, hopefully there's a hotel room involved, you know, because even you live like an hour and a half away from there, or like an hour away.
No, come on, dude.
From Marietta?
Yeah, it ain't that bad. To Marietta is probably like 50 minutes, but like the Brave Stadium is on the edge of Marietta. It's like, I guess it's like Smyrna. But that's, you know, I can get to the Braves game in 35 minutes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it ain't bad, especially after the game, man. I get home in 30 minutes.
And you only live 35 minutes from me. Well, you probably only live like 20 minutes. Nope. Solid 30, 35.
At least 30, 35, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, dude, once you're over here, like, it ain't bad. We meet up here, get a little pregame. We head up there, hit a little more pregame, watch some Braves. Watch
the
some,
good thing
some
the good
dingers.
thing about baseball, which I've kind of appreciated about baseball, is they force you to sober up. Like once that seventh inning hits, they don't sell no more beer. And sometimes you go to a Braves game, and the seventh inning to the ninth inning can be 2 hours, you know?
Sure. Or it could go into extra innings.
Or it can be 15
baseball
minutes.
Never has to end.
Know? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it could. Another thing that happened today just came out. Spencer Schwellenbach, 60-day IL for what they think is bone spurs, which is kind of the same thing that happened to Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
And he ended up having to have surgery. So hopefully we get to see him this year because he could have had a great year. He has ace potential. So that kind of sucks.
Speaking of Spencer Strider, what's the outlook on him? Because last year was not his best outing.
No, and I'm wondering, man, like it's like I love seeing him get, 10 plus strikeouts, but not when you're giving up.
But I'm telling you, man,
runs.
like you can't have your entire pitching identity just be 100-mile-an-hour fastball because it's just going to wear and tear on you quicker than anything. And like
pitchers like that don't last. Yeah,
exactly. Like it's cool and it's awesome, but like I want you to have the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but I also want you to have a 12-6 curve that nobody can hit and a fucking slider and everything. I don't want you to be so one-dimensional that like by the time you're 40, you don't have a shoulder anymore. You know?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the problem with the way that they're bringing these kids up these days, man. It's been going on for the last almost decade where it's, in high school, they want you to start, trying to get up to 90. And then, when you're a prospect, you're throwing close to 100. And then by the time you're 25, 26, your arm's blown out. You're getting Tommy John at fucking 23 years old.
And then that's why if you're smart, you need to be a guy who can throw an 86-mile-an-hour slider that nobody's even going to swing at, and it's right down the fucking middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And the way the game's moving too is we're not seeing a whole lot of like starters going 7 innings into the game anymore. Nope. We're seeing a lot more pitchers come out. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more pitchers come out during the game. Of course, the rule's set now to where like you have to see at least 3 batters. I think that's a good thing as far as like keeping it competitive. But maybe, I think by the game changing that way, you're still gonna see people kind of throwing their shoulders out, throwing their elbows out, which sucks. I wonder about this Braves rotation. We're probably gonna see Bryce Elder on the opening day roster, like as a starting pitcher, which I'm not super excited about. And there's not really time to go out there and get you another one. So I don't know. No. The Braves, no, there's not. You still got Chris Sale.
Another one, Ozuna got picked up by the Pirates.
He did. Yeah. So good for him. I guess it's a 1-year deal. We'll see what he does up there. He's kind of getting on the older side these days. Yeah. So I think we got his best years.
He's still a hell of a DH though. He just really is.
No, he definitely is. I remember when we first got him, I was like, he's going to be a liability in left field. And then it's like, the year after that, we got the DH. I'm like, I love Ozuna.
Yeah.
So, hey, Ozuna's another one that like got hit with those charges and he came out of it okay. Turned out like the story was worse than what really happened. So,
yeah, I remember when
not saying happened. James Pierce is going to be like that, but yeah, Ozuna, they were saying like, oh, it's over because the story sounded so bad when it came out, it was different.
To be clear, Ozuna also didn't do himself any favors because after all that domestic violence stuff happened, then he goes out and gets a DUI and tries to bribe the cops by being a Braves player to not arrest him. So
Yeah.
he
He's not the first Braves player to do that.
Yeah,
so,
he didn't do himself any favors there, dude.
Yeah, he ain't an angel, but yeah, I think with that story, it kind of came out as just like very toxic relationship. The video, the body cam footage comes out, and it's like, at the time he has a cast on.
Wasn't
and as soon
she
as the cops
beating
get
his
there,
ass in the fucking?
she was beating him up when they got there. They walk in the door and they say, hey, hands up, and he immediately puts his hands up, gets on the ground, like cooperates and everything. So that story, like as we learned more, definitely changed. And I think that was like back around like COVID and stuff. So it's like big news story. And he finished out his Braves career just fine. I don't know if James Pierce is going to be that way, but again, it's early. We just found out about this stuff. Let's see what happens. I don't know what to say, but
yeah, we'll see, man.
But hey, let's go Braves.
But other than that, go Braves. If you come to a Braves game, you may see us there. But if you go to a Falcons home game, you are 90% sure going to see Jeremy there. So make sure you get your tickets for next season. You might see me at one or two 226. But other than that, man, all I got to say is like, let's just love each other. Let's be happy. Let's embrace everybody for who they are. Let's have the most positive outlook on things we have. Especially as an Atlanta sports fan, things can be grueling and fucking strenuous, but we can make it through and we can make it through together. So other than that, on that note, I'm going to enjoy some Miller Lights. Me and Jeremy are going to have our little post-pod conversation. We'll see you guys next week. You can get us on YouTube at ATOWN Rundown. You can listen to Jeremy's band Sunmancer on all platforms. You can actually watch their music videos on YouTube if you want to watch Jeremy riff. But yeah, man, just take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Just be a fucking good person. Have a good moral compass. If something seems like a bad idea, it's probably a bad idea unless it's a lot of fun. Then it might be worth it. But other than that,
if you're with your friends and you're having a good time and like, this could be a bad idea. All right, that's different. But if you're arguing with your wife or your girlfriend and you're about to do something fucking stupid, take a step back.
Yeah. Just get in your car, go to where you see that neon moon, sit down at the bar and fucking order yourself a Miller Lite and chill the fuck out, bro.
There you go.
But all right, we'll see you guys next week, man. Y'all be safe.
Rise up.